What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Gotham Knights will be better than the Arkham games. Kind of talk about what it would need to do to even reach that mark, and if it's even possible. So, look, I'll be straight up honest with you guys, and you guys are the diehards, and you guys have been watching these videos for a long time, and by the way, I truly do appreciate all of them. We're running out of topics, okay? I mean, hit the red alarm button, whatever you want to do. We're running out of things to say. I wouldn't go so far to say I'm getting desperate. If I wanted to get desperate, I would do a lot more clickbaity things like I've seen other channels, not just even in the Arkham world, but in many other realms. I would do something like that. I still do want to talk about different kinds of topics. I still have some ideas. If you guys have any other suggestions for me, make sure you let me know. And hopefully, by the time Game Awards comes around, or by the end of the year, hopefully we can be talking about a whole brand new thing from Gotham Knights, right? Whether they announce, they show Red Hood, Nightwing, etc., right? We'll talk about those things as the months go on. Really quickly, if you guys do enjoy these videos and you're not already subscribed, which still a fair amount of people that watch these videos are not subscribed, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell icon. And also, if you guys are not subscribed to my second channel, I know a lot of you are, but if you're not, Podcast Now Plus is the name. The link for that is in the description below, along with all my other stuff, okay? It would mean a lot to me if you guys supported me over there as well. So I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be an interesting talk because everybody's got different expectations. And honestly, on this channel, we've talked about, and I've even titled different videos, whether it's a game, whether it's a movie, whether it's before the things come out or after. I talk a lot about expectations. I find them really interesting, obviously, where everybody kind of sets the bar in their own head. And as you guys know, I'm very open to whatever. If you guys want to think that this game is going to be incredible, go ahead. I'm all there for you. If you guys think the game is going to be terrible, think that. I'm in full support. And I think we can all coexist, and that's why I love this channel. That's why I love you guys as the community, right? So, Gotham Knights, to me, well, let me be honest with you. Am I expecting it? So to throw in that word, right, the key word, am I expecting it to be better than the Arkham games? No, I'm not. At the same time, will I compare it to the Arkham games? I keep bringing in Avengers. I know Slick Muff, I know Degenerate J, I know like all of us when we've even collaborated and talked about it together, we do have a habit, and I'm not saying like it's wrong or it's right. We do have a habit to compare it at least a little bit to Marvel's Avengers. And we've all, together, we've talked about, is that like a right thing to do? And why do I bring that up? Well, it's because, again, I kind of have to bring back Marvel's Avengers, where it's like, I feel like the timing that this game was announced and when this game releases, because of what it's trying to do. Now, again, is it trying to be Avengers? No, and I've never said that, right? I think it's trying to do its own thing, but borrow, and in fact, honestly, Warner Bros. Montreal admitted it, that they are borrowing a lot of stuff from what these third-person, kind of like looter, action-ish games. That's what you're getting with Gotham Knights, but with Gotham Knights. Not the greatest endorsement ring in my mind, because that's literally what they said. But as always, I'm willing to give them a chance, right? So I feel like when it comes out, people are going to be comparing it probably more towards Avengers, more towards just any game that's got, again, like a progression system to it, where you're leveling up, where you're getting gear, questing, stuff like that. It's further, I don't know, and we've talked about it before, is it closer to Avengers or is it closer to the Arkham games? It's probably somewhere in the middle. It's going to have a lot of the feel of the Arkham games, but it's also going to have a lot more of the mechanics, the in-game mechanics, to what Avengers tried to do, whether it was done well or not, what they tried. And many other games have done it over the past, let's say, like 2 to 4 years, right? So can it be better than the Arkham games if the Arkham games isn't really its primary target? That's kind of the focus I want to take on it. Well, look, let's break down the Arkham games really quickly. I've never ranked these, actually. I promised you guys like a year ago, like last August, that I would rank these. I still haven't done it, so I definitely will. Probably in the lead up to Gotham Knights, we'll definitely do that. But look, Arkham Asylum is one of my favorite games of all time. As I've always said, it's my favorite Arkham game, I feel. I don't think it's the best one, but I think it's my favorite. Arkham City, I mean, can you really do better than Arkham City? There are issues. By the way, there's issues with all of these games, but there's just, something obviously very, very special. Arkham Origins, I mean, again, to not discredit, I know there is a divide in, is it too copycat? Was it kind of lazy, or was it actually a solid game? I swing a little bit more to like the solid game thing. I don't think there's anything overly spectacular about it. I do understand that they reused a lot of assets that Arkham City had. At the same time, I thought it was a pretty overall very, very solid game. Arkham Knight, I mean, what hasn't been said about Arkham Knight, right? It's the gameplay in terms of how it feels is spectacular, and that's the thing with Gotham Knights is story-wise, I mean, you kind of have a blank slate. Story-wise can be better than any game. I mean, and by any game, I actually do mean any game, because whenever you make a game, I feel, at least if it's not part of maybe a franchise, which this is starting one, but it's the beginning of it, you really have not infinite, possibilities, but you have a lot of ways you can go with a story. And if any, I mean, these guys did tell a good story with Arkham Origins. Now, is it even the same team at this point? Not a lot of them. There are still some of them left over, but not a lot of them. So again, it's kind of a blank slate. Tell the story you're going to tell, whether Batman is in it or not in it. And I think it could potentially, the story is interesting, right? Because Arkham Asylum, I think, actually had a really, really good story. Origins, let's say, had like an okay one. City had a really, really good like core story. I think the side stuff was lost a lot in Arkham City. Arkham Knight, well, they made some interesting choices with it. I would say I overall liked the story. I didn't think it was better maybe than Arkham City and Arkham Asylum. I think it was probably a step backwards, but the story was overall good. I mean, again, so what are you competing with? You're competing with Arkham Asylum or City. Could you beat that? I think it's possible. I don't think it's entirely likely, but I definitely think it's possible. And then you have the gameplay and the world and stuff like that. Now, again, games releasing later and later, or games like coming after each other, they do have the advantage of you can learn from the past. Also, like older games may not age as well. People may not even be able to remember them as they were. So, I mean, even think about it right now. Can you think of Arkham Asylum as well as you could think of it back then? And I don't necessarily mean quality. I mean, like, even just remembering how you're playing it, how you played it for the first time. I feel like everybody, you do lose a little bit of that as time goes on. Even me, like Uncharted 4. Uncharted 4 is my favorite game of all time. I mean, I replayed it just a few months ago. I beat it again, and I mean, all the emotions are still there, but in reality, does it have the same hit that it did back then? And can you measure that right now? I mean, I can always think back to it and say, at that time, that game just hit me like perfectly. Like no other game has ever done that, even with time to think about it and time for other games to do it, right? So that's the thing you have to think about for the story of Gotham Knights, but also the gameplay. The gameplay is probably the most worrisome thing, and maybe not even like the core fighting. Even again, what we saw of Batgirl and Robin, I'm not upset about it. I'm not mad about it. I thought it actually looked pretty solid overall. I think there's potential there. I think that I liked the fighting overall. It's just, again, how different are these characters going to be? How much are we going to put into these skills and gear, and how important is that going to be? Do you focus too much on that? Do you focus too much on the leveling up and making the different suits look nice? What are you going to do? What is the game going to be focusing primarily on, right? I think from a world-building perspective, easily this could be the best. It's not even, and I've made this very, very vocal in many videos too. I do not think the Arkham games did a good job at all of world-building. They did good in the setting they were in, like a very small, condensed setting. But if you think about like literally setting up a franchise, or I did feel like Arkham Knight did make you feel like things were going on in the city, obviously with the different like villain, crimes that were going on. I mean, you did feel like it, still not populated, so I think that took away from it. Arkham City, even, I mean, you definitely felt like each zone was controlled by different groups, but I don't know if they necessarily felt lived in. So that's what I think this game could probably do the best of. You make the world as livable, more livable than you ever have before, right? You make it very known that, if you want to do sections of the map, you can do sections, but I want the map to feel alive. I want it to feel like if I'm Robin in one part of the map, that there are things going on in another part of the map, right? That's what I think Arkham Knight did the best of those four, and I think Gotham Knights can do even better. And that's I feel like obviously there's the villains, okay, like which villains do you choose? How engaging is it going to be? I really feel like the game will sink or swim on the gameplay mechanics and the story. That's always been the biggest thing with the Arkham games, is just the fun kind of combat systems that they've had, and then also the story. And one maybe has been really, really good, one has not been so good. Maybe both of them were good, right, depending on which game you're looking at. Gotham Knights is a tough one because I feel like aspects of it some of it will be better, some of it will be worse. So when you put it as a package deal, I don't know. But at the same time, I don't want people to kind of take this the wrong way. When I'm playing these games, I truly don't know. I feel like people will compare it, and I probably will compare it to the Arkham games just because Batman, just because DC, just because Warner Bros. Montreal, right? But I feel like it'll probably be in all of our best interests, probably to compare it more to games in that genre. Again, if you don't want to call it Avengers, whatever, but more in the line of Avengers, while also thinking like, okay, well, the Arkham games is where it came from. So I don't even know if people are necessarily going to be comparing it to the Arkham games when it comes out. But let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Are you going to be comparing it to the Arkham games? Do you think it could be better than them? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed again to this channel. Bell icon turned on. I do a new Gotham Knights video every 2, 3, 4 days. Again, I know news is short, around this time period. Hopefully we get some new stuff very, very soon. We've gone through this before. There's been many, many times where there's been very little news, and even with like the leaks and the rumors of this game, even like last year, and I still was the most consistent and still did the most, I would say, for these Arkham games out of anybody all of last year. So looking forward to doing it again. Have no problem doing that. Let me know if you guys want to see anything specific. Again, make sure you guys subscribe to my second channel, Podcast Now Plus, and I will see you all on the next video.